Hello, I'm Philip Heeg. I'm the Outdoor Recreation Program Manager at the Air Force Personnel Center. And today I'm looking forward to talking with you a little bit about strategies for succeeding in today's tight fiscal climate. First thing you need to do is spend a little time analyzing your activities or programs' position in the market. Now, I'm going to use outdoor recreation example because that's what I know best, but most of these principles apply just the same to other activities. So when we take a look at how we're doing in the marketplace, outdoor recreation, for example, is positioned fairly well. We offer a wide range of programs, activities, and services that our customers are willing to trade their time and money to enjoy. We're recognized by leadership as an important contributor to mission support. In fact, that's one of the reasons why under services transformation, outdoor recreation is considered a core activity and should be provided and funded at every installation. We also serve a wide range of different customer groups, everything from our single first-term airmen to our families, retirees, our civilian workforce and contractors. All can enjoy the range of activities and services we offer. When we look at some of the national and Air Force participation trends, the future still looks pretty good. Now, granted, the economy and the deployment schedules are going to have an impact on participation, and that's going to be tough for a while. At least in the outdoor recreation business, there aren't a lot of direct competitors outside the gate. There are very few places you can go to rent sleeping bags or tents in most areas, and the kinds of activities we offer generally provide excellent value. When we look at our financial position, we have a good, solid fiscal history and financial support levels. It's going to get a little tighter, particularly with those appropriated funds, but generally our customers are willing and used to being required to pay for some of the programs and services we offer. And we have a nice mix of low and high revenue activities, so we're able to support some of those critical mission enhancing programs and services with revenues that come from some of our Category C programs. While we're doing fairly well, we really can't be complacent because the challenges are going to be tough ahead. We're all heard the sequestration and furloughs and reductions in APF support. That's going to not change for a little while, so we need to fire up the spreadsheets and sharpen our pencils and get ready to plan for the future as we see it today. First step you need to do is take a little time to kind of analyze your existing operations and see if you can figure out exactly what you're working with. And while you might be familiar with the kinds of items you have in your budget, there are other costs that aren't in your budget that you need to start being very familiar with. So, for example, we have a tool for our equipment checkout operations called the Cost-Based Equipment Pricing System. It's a Microsoft Access application, and what it does is it allows us to capture all our labor costs, all our supplies and parts and support equipment expenses for delivering equipment checkout items to the customer, receiving them back in, prepping them for the next customer, and returning them to inventory. And that's just the starting point, understanding what does it cost you to deliver that equipment item to a customer. There's also a range of facility and equipment maintenance expenses that we might not be paying for today. It might be covered by our friends over in civil engineering. As their money gets tight, they're going to be looking for some support as well. So you need to understand what's being spent to keep that equipment and those facilities in good working order, even if you're not paying the bill today. APF support for our pools, again, from our friends in civil engineering for chemicals or some of the other maintenance and repair on the water systems. Be sure you start learning what those costs are. You might not have to pay them, but you better know what they are. Some of our big capital requirements, like pontoon boats or those sorts of things, you might be doing a 5-year capital requirements budget, but you need to be planning much farther out than simply 5 years. Probably 10 years is a good starting point for some of those large capital equipment items, also for facilities. Take a look at how you can improve efficiencies within your operations right now. Staff cross-training is probably the one that should jump to your mind first. If you have employees who can do more than one thing, that gives you additional flexibility for scheduling, and that can help reduce your costs. We say it all the time, but it's a good opportunity to analyze your usage patterns. When are customers actually coming in to use your programs and visit your facilities? And that's how you need to staff your programs. It may require adjusting staff schedules, but if nobody's coming in Wednesday mornings, maybe that would be a good time to reduce hours. If you have RecTrack running your outdoor rec or other recreation program, there are a lot of capabilities that can really cut down on the time that management spends running reports and analyzing your business operations. Use those tools to make it easy to understand what's going on in your activity. Don't short yourself on revenue. That sounds simple, but we have had situations where installations, not just Air Force installations, really didn't have a handle on, for example, RV storage operations, and we're leaving a lot of money, sometimes 5 figures, by not knowing who owed them how much money. And once you know how much they owe you, go after those dollars in a pleasant, customer-friendly way, but don't leave those dollars off the table. Again, RecTrack can help you charge consistently and on a reoccurring basis for RV storage or marinas, those sorts of things, so you can always keep up on recording the revenue that you're due. Keep your fees and charges updated on a regular basis. Don't wait years to raise prices. Customers are much more accepting and accommodating to small and regular fee increases. Now it's time to start building those contingency plans. And rather than focus on costs first, I'd like you to think about focusing on generating additional revenues first. Additional revenue goes a long way to solving tight budgets. So let's start with seeing, are there ways that you can expand your operations and generate more revenue? Are there any brand new activities that might be popular? We just provided a number of equipment items to all the installations, our pedal drive kayaks and stand-up paddle boards. Those are new activities or services that might generate some nice revenues for you. Can you increase capacity? If you're turning customers away for stand-up paddleboard programs, maybe you could buy a couple more paddle boards and generate additional revenue. Have you got some old tried and true activities that are getting a little boring? Maybe you can reposition those, structure them in such a way, or go after a different market segment. For example, most bases have canoes. Canoes can be used for couples programs. They can be used for family programs. They can be used for unit competitions. Find different ways to reposition those programs and services that you have. Spend your promotional efforts on media channels that actually reach the customers. There's some good research out on how airmen get their information. They're looking for information online, and at least for recreation and family activities, word of mouth is the third most important way that people find out about what we have to offer. And make sure those promotional materials don't just say time, place, and cost. You've got to use those promotional efforts to sell those programs. And in today's social media environment, if it's another customer that's helping you sell that activity, so much the better. You have to answer the question to the customer, what's in it for them? Why should they trade their time or money for your program or service? If you're using RecTrack and put the WebTrack front end on it, customers can do a lot of self-service activities. For example, Osan Air Force Base found that about 40% of all their registrations were coming in through WebTrack. That meant the staff had more time to work on programs and services and equipment. Are you cross-marketing your activities and programs? If you look at some of the Outdoor Industry Association data reports, there are correlations that differ between outdoor rec activities. Mountain bikers, for example, may be more or less likely to do stand-up paddleboarding or rappelling. That's the kind of information you as a good manager need to have at your fingertips so that you can sell from one program over to another. And look for synergies that you have between what you offer for sale, what kinds of programs and activities, and what kind of equipment checkout items you have. If you're leading ski trips and people are renting their skis, can they also buy hand warmers or a pair of gloves or that last-minute pair of goggles? All right, we've looked at ways to expand. Now we need to look and see how can we adjust our existing operations to maybe tighten the belt or reduce any waste? First off, let's see if we can adjust things by partnering with other activities within the Force Support Squadron. Maybe you've got employees that work in other activities that have a little bit of outdoor rec background, and you can train them up to work in your activities and share those employees. If you partner, sometimes you can draw from two pools of customers and make an activity be successful where if it was just the one activity, it wouldn't happen. Maybe matching a wildlife viewing trip with a photography class might be just the magic partnership to make that activity go. You've heard in Services Transformation probably about the Community Commons approach. That's an attempt to reduce our facility footprint, also make it easier for customers to do one-stop shopping. So maybe you can consolidate a range of offices to a reduced number of locations. If you find out nobody's coming in Wednesday morning, that's a pretty good time that you could probably trim your hours of operations. If you're adding new prices or raising prices, be sure you communicate to your customers exactly why you have to do that. If it's a noticeable change, they're going to have questions. It can get dangerous to do this, but sometimes you have to defer facility maintenance. The Air Force is doing that right now to deal with the budget pressures, so you may have to do that for your recreation activities as well. Try to choose the types of facility that doesn't directly impact the customer's experience. So, for example, for recreation lodging, maybe you can probably let that new roof go one more year, unless it's leaking, because that doesn't really impact the customer's experience. Make sure you keep the interior and the amenities and the furnishings in good working order. That's where the customer's experience is shaped. Maybe you've got some dead stock. It could be on the resale side or it could be on the equipment checkout side. Look to see if there are some items, only the NAF purchased ones of course, that you might be able to sell off to free up floor space and free up inventory dollars. Look at adjusting your staff schedules and trim those labor hours only if absolutely necessary. You have to be careful for highly seasonal activities that the labor you cut in the off-season isn't going to jeopardize peak season revenue opportunities. If you don't fix the boats in the off-season, they don't make you any money in the summer. Partners don't come just within the FSS world. Look outside the gate. It might be a local Parks and Recreation department. It might be a university or college program. It could be a recreational club. It could even be a commercial entity that you can partner with to help reduce your program costs while still delivering the programs and services and activities that the customers want. Sometimes you can bring the level of service or amenities down a little bit. For example, recreation lodging. Maybe you have to stop providing housekeeping service and customers have to bring their own linens. If you can do that and hold the prices stable, be sure you communicate with your customers why you've had to take that step. They're going to notice. That's a quick look at ways that you might be able to successfully navigate these tight fiscal shoals and come out the other end in good shape. By looking at how your program is positioned, seeing if you can perhaps generate additional revenues to offset tight budgets, and then start looking at efficiencies and ways to control costs or reduce them as a last resort. I hope these things work for you, and keep doing the great work you do to support our airmen, their families, and the United States Air Force. Thank you.